Welcome to the Enlightened Misfits podcast, a space for spiritual entrepreneurs who refuse to settle for anything less than their purpose. I am your host, Lauren Perlingi. After surviving a near-death experience and being declared gone for 3 minutes, I woke up with a mission to help women turn self-sabotage into self-compassion and fear into fuel. Here, we're going to dive into raw conversations, practical tools, and inspiring stories designed to help you break free from old patterns, claim your voice, and build a business that lights up your soul. If you've ever felt like you don't fit the mold, you're in the right place. This is where Misfits rise into their power. Welcome back to the Enlightened Misfits podcast. I am your host, Lauren Perlingi, an intuitive human design business guide, trauma-informed healer, the creator of the 90-second method. And this is a space where we talk about emotional regulation, sovereignty, and building a soul-aligned life and business without abandoning yourself. So today's episode is going to be a powerful one. We're going to dive into nervous system regulation through coaching and sound healing and the beliefs and rules that shape our reality. Maybe we'll get into some religious deprogramming and what it truly means to come back to yourself in sovereignty and discover the goddess within. So this conversation is going to be for these heart-centered women who want to grow their business with more confidence and ease and know what it takes to internally get there. So Brooke, I'm so happy and honored that you're here, and I would love for you to introduce yourself in your own words and share what you do and how you serve.
Yeah, thank you, Lauren. I just want to start by saying I'm so grateful to be here on the podcast. And I feel like coming on the show, it's been such a nice opportunity for me to reflect on my story and who I am and where I'm coming from. So just want to say thanks for having me.
Of course.
But yes, I'm Brooke Santamaria. I am a registered nurse turned holistic business and life coach. I do sound healing, and my company is called Higher Self Resonance. So what I do is I help high functioning, purpose driven individuals kind of move out of survival mode and into aligned and sustainable expansion. And we really do that by working with the nervous system regulation through energetic healing and sound healing and through intuitive coaching, basically. So I love to empower people to reconnect with their intuition and let go of internal blocks that might be holding them back so that they can step into their true purpose, their true identity, and just feel more balanced and more like their real selves coming forward.
Yeah, I love that. And specifically when it comes to like working with your clients, so you work deeply with the nervous system, obviously regulation through like both sound healing, which is amazing. And if you have not checked out her sound healing, go do that. I did it for the first time. What was it? Was it last month or was it? Oh, wait, it was in the beginning of February because we're recording this in February. Whenever it was amazing. So make sure you go check out her and follow her and go have one of her sound healing because I'm telling you, there can't even put into words how I felt after. So thank you for that.
Oh.
But between your coaching and sound healing for like with somebody that may feel like what's the word? Chronically activated or shut down in their business or even in life, like what is something that's actually happening in their nervous system?
For me, what I really feel like it's overwhelm. And it's these subconscious patterns that we're carrying deep within us that are pushing us towards working harder, doing more, burning out, and burning that candle at both ends. And so, part of my work is helping individuals to slow down and recenter, find their focus again, and be able to move forward from an embodied and true place from within themselves.
Yeah, I love that. So, like, how does like an unregulated nervous system or unregulated stress show up, especially in like heart-centered service-based entrepreneurs so that you've seen?
Well, I think for a lot of us, it feels very chaotic, right? It's like, well, this isn't working, so I'm going to go try this. And then I'm going to go do this. And I just read this book, and now I just listened to this podcast, so I'm going to go do this thing. And it's not focused on what's in the heart. And it's just trying all these different modalities because things aren't working, when really what's necessary is to just slow down and tap back into who you are and what your focus is, and to be able to come from that more authentic and genuine place.
Yeah. So would you say that like when you said about, listening to a podcast, reading a book, having doing this tool, working with this person, that like that actually escalates the overwhelm when you're not able to like come, back to yourself?
Absolutely. I mean, and I think we all do it from a good intentions, right? It's not
Right.
like we're out here listening to these, doing things, reading books. We're all doing it because we're thinking it's going to get us to the next level, to where we need to be. But really, it may be just kind of distracting your focus,
Yeah.
and directing your energies and allowing energy to leak out from where it needs to go.
Yeah. So can we talk a little bit more? Because the reason why I'm asking this specifically is because I've had two different clients that I recently, they would tell me I feel overwhelmed. And what you just described is literally they would do all the things, right? And then they would go do this thing or go do that thing. And then it's like me directing them and guiding them. Well, let's go back with like come back to yourself. And they just keep doing that. What do you see? Do you see that with your clients too? And like kind of what is the difference between like maybe this being mindset work versus like nervous system work? And like, what do you believe is necessary for both?
Um, well, what's coming to me as you kind of say that is that we try to do these things from a very conscious place, right? So we're using our conscious mind to think, hey, this is what the next step is.
Right.
So I'm going to go read this book. I'm going to go do this thing. Those are all conscious brain activities. And instead of utilizing that subconscious knowledge that lies within, or that heart-centered knowledge, where you actually are able to slow down and think about what it is, because all the answers they're all within us if we're just able
Right.
to tap in and
Yeah.
listen. And so many of us want the answers to come from somewhere else outside, but we don't slow down enough to get into the heart and really hear what that message is.
And why do you like what is your perspective of why us humans do that?
Honestly, it's like that tip of that iceberg analogy, right? So our
Yeah.
conscious mind is the part over the iceberg that we see, but we want to control. We want to be in control of all of what our reality is. And I think the reality is not that we don't have, I mean, we do have control in a sense, but there's so much that we don't understand,
Yeah.
that we make it more difficult and more challenging for ourselves, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's interesting that you said about the control piece because I was on was it last week? I was on my mentor's group call that we have on Wednesday nights, and what she said was none of us really like all of us want control. Like that's our humanness, like that's our ego. That's it's not good or bad, you know. But do we really, like, she was asking us the question of, like, do we really feel like we have control? And, like, if you asked me this a year ago, I would probably have told you yes. But now it's like, I just have control over my actions, how I feel, like, maybe, like, somewhat, of how I feel, of how I'm going to, like, decide to feel or allow to feel, of that. But, like, anything else, like, I I don't really have control over. And it's like I spent so much of my life trying to control outside things instead of actually coming back to me and like trying to actually control my reactions, my feelings, like how I'm responding and not reacting, you know? Would you agree?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, I think it is very interesting when you allow yourself to release that control,
Yeah.
is when you start to find the breadcrumbs on the path, so to speak, and
Yeah.
like allow the magic of life to actually come in.
Yeah. Now, so you kind of talked a little bit about like beliefs or some people call them rules or, let's just say like reality. So what what is or what do you call like subconscious rules, beliefs, realities, whatever? Like, and how is this and how have you seen this shape how people manifest in their business or their relationships or their, relationships outside of themselves or even their relationships with themselves?
Yeah, I love this question because I think this is so powerful. Um, I talk about this with my clients a lot. Beliefs are really interesting, right? Because it's something that we've adapted and have decided is true. But belief isn't necessarily based in truth, right? Like
Right.
belief has the word lie in it.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
basically, a belief is what you decide that you're going to believe in. And so, if you want a different outcome, basically believing in something different is going to get you that. And all you have to do is decide that you're going to believe something else.
Yeah. So that kind of goes back to like literally what's happening in the world today. It's like the division, the separation, the illusion, and all of that. And can you kind of speak a little bit about like your personal journey of religious deprogramming and what it looked like for you personally?
Yeah, sure. So when I was growing up, I grew up in the Midwest. I am the middle child of three. I have an older brother and a younger brother. And my dad's side of the family were bar restaurant owners, and my mom's side of the family were like farmers, military. And my mom's side of the family also had a very strong religious background. My parents got together. They had us children. They did not have any religion in their life for a long time, till I was probably about 10 years old. And then something shifted within my family. I think my parents wanted to, raise good children and do right by the kids. So they made a complete shift at that point in my life, became religious, and put us all into this like complete 180 transition. We were in public school, then we went to a private church school, began going to church, began spreading the word of God, Bible thumping, so to speak. And we lived that life for like a handful of years. And at first, it was really welcoming and warm and loving. And then as time went on, it grew. It became very quickly apparent how restrictive it was and how uncomfortable it was and how they didn't have answers for, basic things like the dinosaurs or stuff like that. And so as I grew, as I aged, as my questions deepened and they didn't have answers for these things, my belief wavered. And then ultimately, when I got into my 20s, I completely kind of fell away from this strict religious lifestyle and just basically completely rebelled and had to do anything and everything to get myself out of that. So I went through a long period where I didn't have any religion in my life and was just like, I'm not sure what I believe in, but I don't think it's that. And then it wasn't until like my late 30s when I had actually experienced a grief, a loss. I think like many of us, we learn things through grief and loss. But basically I had a severance of a couple handful of really deep, close personal relationships, basically overnight. And like at that time, my social calendar was completely full, and then like overnight it went to empty. And I didn't have any kids. We didn't want to have kids at that point. And basically what I was left with was silence for the first time in a long time. And pain because the severance hurt me deeply. And during that time, I was really able to, what I found comfort in was meditation, yoga, and at the time it was restoring our house. We had this house that I loved doing projects at. So I would do yoga, I would meditate, and then I would work on projects at the house and listen to audio books. And eventually I stumbled on this book called Autobiography of a Yogi. Have you ever read that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. One of the best books I've ever read in my life.
Yeah.
It completely changed my paradigm of like the lens in which I saw the world. It opened things up for me and allowed me to see religion and everything in just in such a different light
Hmm.
that it completely expanded my paradigm or my belief of what was real in this world. And so
Yeah.
um, it shifted so many things for me because I had completely fallen away from any of the, religious indoctrination that had grown up with or had learned. And, after I reading that book, a lot of that stuff started to make sense to me. And I understood why religion does what it does, but it cleared the path in me realizing that, hey, like this makes sense,
Yeah.
everybody having a different spiritual teacher that they look up to all legitimizes all of it. It's not you're going to hell because you don't believe in Jesus, like it's
Yeah.
actually there's all these teachers who are just there to do one thing for us, which is to wake us up and to
Right.
move us forward.
Yeah.
And so that was very, very powerful for me. And I love helping people do the same.
Yeah, and I like hearing your story. Thank you for sharing your story because I know that sometimes it can be the world that we live in today, it can be kind of like uncomfortable to talk about it or being vulnerable or like, whatever. But obviously here, everybody listening, it's a safe space and I feel like whatever comes out needs to come out. But I think that specifically when we talk about like the religion piece, like I also come from a very call it toxic, but I mean, like Catholic background where it's like we have to go. Like I remember even like when I was a kid, like my mom would force us to go to church, and then I would be so tired that like me and my brother, he would be on one side, I would be on the other side, and we'd be sleepy on her shoulder. Like I'm like, so what's the point of this? And of course she did send us to Catholic school up until I was in third grade, until I got pulled out because I was still like a first grade reading level and I was in third grade. And I'm just like, she's like, okay, like obviously this is not working, anyway, but it's like, throughout my whole life until I was able to make the decision that like, I'm not going to church. I'm not doing that. Like, this is all like, I started to question and ask those why questions that, like you said, very similar, they weren't answered, or it's like that's just the way it's supposed to happen. And I'm like, yeah, bullshit. I call bullshit. Like I need to know, and now understanding that it was in my life for a reason, to see that perspective of religion and then be able to see the actual real truth and like how it's, you know religion to control, or it's like just to control the masses or society. You have to pick this. You're shamed if you don't believe in Jesus, or that whatever you believe is like the only way. And it's like, that's not obviously that's not also true. But I mean, for some people it is, and like that's their belief system. So I think that that's really, and that's why I was asking the question, because I think that that right now is really powerful because it's like, I don't think people realize like, what are your beliefs? Like, what are you telling yourself? Like you said, beliefs has the lie in it. Like, what lies are you telling yourself to be able to see, like, where can I wake up to a piece maybe that people are not like seeing, or maybe they're telling themselves they're stuck. Like, if we're talking about people in business, like, what piece do you usually see people miss the most and don't realize if it is their beliefs, manifestation, whatever it is for them?
Um, I feel like people get stuck in this pattern of not questioning. Like they were brought up and done things. This is the way we always did it. This is the way my mom taught me. This is the way my dad taught me. This is what my church tells me. So obviously, this is true. And I think it's very powerful. We all need to be able to question things in our lives, and we all need to be able to have the capacity and the willingness for other people to receive and to give us those answers as well. Like it's okay. We should be able to question why, you don't have the answers for this, or you know, not to be crass, but like, why are gay people going to hell, and why is this person
Yeah.
going to hell if they're a Muslim, and why,
Yeah.
why?
Yeah. And I think that that's really powerful too, because who and what and who do those people think they are if they're like, it's like that judgment piece. Like for another person to tell another person, you know, and if technically, like I believe, and I know you believe this too, of like, if we're all one, we're not separate. Like, what illusion are you subscribing to that maybe you need to unsubscribe to, that you're separate than everybody else? Because, like, we're all humans, here. So it's we're all one. We all come from the one source. Whatever that one source is that you believe, that's your belief, right? But it's like going back to like asking why, like, why does that happen, and like being curious. I was always the why kid. Why is that why? Yeah, and it seems like you were like that too, because it's like I need to understand why. And I think that if you don't know the answer to that, that's also okay to say I don't know why. Okay, that's fine, but it's like when I was growing up, it was always sold to me. That's just how it is. It was never like, stay in this box. Don't ask questions. Keep your mouth shut. Don't use your voice. Stop asking questions. And it's like, that's not what I came here for.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, and I love this because I was just thinking about this before the podcast, like some of the things that are even so basic. Like when I was young, I remember being really into astrology
Yeah.
and thinking like, "Hey, this is so cool. This sounds just like me." Like,
Yeah.
and my mom would be like, "Nope, that's wrong. We don't subscribe to that," you know.
Yeah.
It was never really put any stock into.
Yeah.
And it never made sense to me, or it was always written off as like not anything
Yeah.
substantial. And that always fascinated me. It was like, why, if I identify with it so much and all these other people identify with the characteristics so much, does it not mean anything in garbage?
Right.
And the same holds true with yoga. Yoga was always like poo-pooed on in my belief system as well. Like, oh, don't be doing yoga, or even magic,
Yeah.
or I remember being into like paranormal stuff and like
Yeah.
watching all the ghost stories. And it's like, no, there's no such thing as ghosts.
Yeah.
And it's just like my curious mind was always like, is there though? Like, what is it? Because there's
Yeah.
something out there. So.
Yeah. Now, how do you feel that it shaped you to be who you are today? Like, do you see like the lesson or why that had to happen in order to what you help and guide people to till to today?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, without it, right? Like I wouldn't even be in this circumstance. Who
Right.
knows who I would be, you know? Um, yeah, we need to go through this pain. We need to go through whatever it is that we're going through to be able to become who we are. And, looking back on it, a lot of stuff, yeah, it was very painful and very difficult to understand when I was growing up. But now it's just, it was the piece that pushed me, that made me the seeker, that made me question. And to always be the humble learner that has pushed me forward into this trajectory of healing and coaching and helping others move into the same space as well.
Yeah. And I like that you say the, humble like teacher and learner because I feel like more than ever now, it's more of like there's a lot of people that are stepping into leadership and are like leading and guiding and teaching other people. But in my eyes, sure, I'm looked up as like, oh, I'm going to guide you, oh, I'm going to help you, but it's more of like, no, I'm going to walk next to you because I'm walking the same path. I might have one experience that might help you or like, and I feel like that is what's also not talked about a lot in the spiritual community because it's like those ego stories that I've been really thinking about lately and I've been working through myself because it's like that superior, like I'm superior than you. And it's like my ego will come in and say that. And I'm like, you need to calm down. Like we need to calm down because I don't operate that way, but I'm seeing it so heavily in the spiritual community of like, I'm here, I did this. This is this, which is all valid and it's great. You had great experiences that you've learned a lot of lessons from, but it's like at the same time, my ego then comes in or will say, like, but they're not better than us. And it's like, but we're the same. Like, we are the same. And I think that that is like really powerful through what I've been learning too, because I can start to see how that pain that maybe somebody else is carrying is also being reflected back to somebody else and it's creating that pattern or that cycle and it's just like looping people back around. I've seen it a lot lately, so I feel like that's probably why I'm speaking about it.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that too, because I think we experience it no matter where you are on your religious journey, or like the ego wants to do that, right? The
Yeah.
ego wants to
Yeah.
be right. We want to be right and we want to be on top.
Yeah.
And like for many, like in the religious community that I kind of grew up, there was a lot of that like religious elitism.
Hmm.
Whereas like, I'm this level in the church, so I'm better than you.
Right.
And even in coaching, we have to be careful as well
Yeah.
because it's like I have this certification, I have that certification, but really we're just like Sherpas, guiding you along to the next like altitude of the mountain.
Yes.
And we have a lot of learning to do too.
Yeah. I feel like it's like always like, you're always that student. I mean, I feel like for me, I always like to learn and like I learn new things every day and I'm like open to that, like open to receiving that. Sure. Some people, and I think that my mentor had said this last night. She said, in when we're in our communities, people give their power away. And it was really like it clicked for me because it feels uncomfortable when people will say to me, oh, well, it's because of you that this happened. And then my body feels uncomfortable. And I'm starting to realize that because it's not me, it's me. I'm again helping you just see your own power. And then she even said it, and I was like, I wonder how many times I actually forgot to give their power back. Of like, not consciously, right? Like, I'm not doing that consciously, but it was like a whole, like, oh my goodness. So it's like now I'm conscious of it. So if somebody were to say that, which makes sense why my body felt uncomfortable, maybe I was closed off to receiving a compliment or, like just receiving that, but also giving it back. Like I do know I say this a lot, like I'm just a mirror because I really am. So it's like if you can see that in me, I also am mirroring that back to you. So like that's where energy exchanges, so I think is that power, but it's like us remembering to keep our power then, or us, mentors, healers, coaches, whatever you call yourself, the remembering to give that power back. Because I think that that is important because, again, in the community, I feel like sometimes we're always subconsciously giving our power away. And at the end, maybe at the end of the week, you feel depleted and it's could be because of that. So it's like having that in awareness, which I think was powerful for me. And that's why I'm sharing. Would you
Well,
agree
and
that you see that too?
yeah, well, and thank you for being that mirror to reflect that to me too, because now I'm like going back in the banks and being like, do I accept that or do I give it back?
Yeah. I think it's just more of like, and it's kind of like because I've actually been really conscious of like what when my ego is talking, when my higher self is talking, or when my true self is talking, that I can separate. Because I feel like through just my own experiences lately, and even the beginning of like last year, I started to really feel like it was important, especially like nervous system of like being really conscious of like how do I feel around certain people? What communities am I in that I'm like, I don't want to get on those calls. I don't want to be here. Like being really conscious of that, and that is everything that you need to know of like questioning or continuing to put yourself in spaces that maybe you just outgrown. Not that they're bad, it's just that you have outgrown them. And I think a lot of us probably are healing from people pleasing, or maybe you're not aware of this and you need to heal from people pleasing or whatever it is for you, that I think that that is really powerful, especially in the spiritual entrepreneur place, because that is that they're going to latch onto you and use that. And somebody yesterday that I was talking to called it like a snake pit. And I'm like, well, you're going to be in one snake pit and you're going to go into another snake pit. And if that pattern is going to keep happening until you do something different. And I think that that is, if you want different, like just like you said in the beginning of this episode, like if you want different, you have to choose different. It's like we're not playing the blame game, right? Like it's more of like you're responsible for you and you have to choose different if you want different. I think that's really powerful.
Yeah, that is a beautiful reminder there.
Yeah.
I had a thought and I just lost it, but
Maybe it'll come back to you.
yeah, hopefully.
So it's kind of speaking about sovereignty. So like what does sovereignty mean to you now versus what it meant to you before? And how do you help women or your clients reclaim this both in their life and in their business?
Yeah, oh, thanks for asking that. I feel like for so much of my life, I really struggled with not knowing who I was or what my purpose was. And just to recap again, I'm the middle daughter of two brothers. Grew up in the Midwest. I was living in a very masculine dominated home where the feminine wasn't really celebrated. And here I was, this little like emotional ball of energy. And whenever I would have an eruption, like my mom would just be like, "Why are you so emotional? Just calm down." And
Yeah.
so being the middle child, I would just go along to get along. So I would tag along with my brothers. I would play the sports that they played. I would do the things that they wanted to do. My mom would, I don't ever recall really being asked, like, hey, what would you like to do? Like, what are you passionate about? Like
Right.
I was just put in this lesson or that lesson, or we're joining this group, or we're going to this church or school. And I just followed along with that. And like, it took a long time for me to really figure out who I was. Maybe longer than some, but everybody's journey is different, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I remember when I finished nursing school and I had just met my husband and we were dating, and I remember him asking me like, "Oh, so you're a nurse? That's amazing." And he's like, "So is that what you're passionate about?" And I was like, "No, that's just a job. Like, whatever. I like helping people, but
Yeah.
I knew intrinsically that I wasn't like passionate about nursing per se."
Yeah.
And he was just like, "Well, what are you passionate about?" And I remember just like drawing a blank and being like, actually, I'm not really even sure.
Yeah.
And again, this was before, I think this was before I had done a lot of my spiritual journey and searching. So, at the time I was just like, I like partying and drinking with my friends. Like, that's what I'm passionate about.
Right.
And, it really takes, again, when you have that time, you have that silence, that space to go within and dig out who you are and the things that you're passionate about. Is that when you really start discovering, like, what your talents are, what your purpose is, what you're good at, who you are. And
Yeah.
it's when you start really digging into that, when you start finding the answers. And so, like a lot of the work that I do with my clients, we do a lot of meditation.
Yeah.
I always encourage journaling. I encourage like time away to be alone
Yeah.
in the mornings to, write in the journal, write out some gratitudes, do some meditation, do some movement, and just have that space for yourself when you're in your own energy and your own vibration to figure out who it is that you really are.
Yeah. That's a really good question, or like that's a really good because I answer to the question that I was literally going to just ask because something that has been coming up a lot lately is, Lauren, I need you to help me find my purpose. And I don't mean to laugh, but it's like I can't help you with that. However, I can help you guide you to what are you passionate about? And just like you said, these people that I've been talking to lately, they don't know because of past trauma. And it's like, I don't remember my childhood. I don't know what I'm passionate about. I don't want to be by myself. I don't like to be by myself. And it's like, okay, it's like those little tips that you gave of like just journaling, being with yourself in the morning. And I'm talking like I understand this to the full capacity because I tried everything possible to avoid this feeling or being in my body. Or it's like I have to go do this, keeping myself busy, burning out, like all the things, right? Until I was like, okay, this is not working. I need to try something else. And it was like that moment that I read The Secret that I kept complaining. I was at work, I worked in the healthcare field too. And I was at work, and one of the other ultrasound techs said, Lauren, why are you always so miserable? And immediately I wanted to react. And I was like, actually, I don't know. And then that question, to this day, I always tell her, thank God you said that to me because to this day, I now question, like that question pops in my mind of like, if I'm feeling angry or if I'm feeling miserable, like asking me, why am I so miserable right now? Like, what's going on? And then like I can self-reflect on like, oh, this, and this. And then, not blame, but like figure out where I need to start. And I think that moment, one of the very many moments that is like you need that person or thing to happen so you can go here. And I think that is what people are not realizing too, because maybe I was asking the same question of like, why am I here? Through my near death experiences or whatever it is. I feel like that question has always, now it's not a question, but maybe sometimes I'm like, why did I choose to come here? Like, funny wise humor, like, what is this thing called Earth, and what am I doing here? Like, am I supposed to be here right now? Like just funny, but like people that get it, they get it, right? But I think that is those tips that you gave were really, really powerful because I think people are in a transition right now, especially with all the energy, especially with all the things going on that they look some people are still looking without like outside of themselves instead of their self, like, hello, look at me, I need your attention. That's kind of how my experience started. you know
Yeah. And you said something powerful there is that you said that, your clients are like, "Hey, what is my purpose?"
right,
Right? And you can be a mirror to reflect that back to them by all means, but the
right,
purpose comes from within them.
right.
And it's so funny because one of the things that people fear the most is being alone, right?
Hmm.
Like, oh my gosh, what if I lose everything and I'm all alone?
Hmm.
And it's interesting the thing that happens when you actually are alone. You let go of that fear of
Yeah.
being alone and you
Yeah.
actually get some answers. And then you discover that you actually really love to be alone, and being alone is an amazing place to be. So
Yeah.
I just think it's funny when people are really scared to be alone. Like I just encourage them to like overcome that fear because if you don't, the universe might end up just taking away from you anyways, because something might
Yeah.
happen and there you go, you're all alone.
Yeah.
And you might not have a choice, you know?
Yeah.
The universe might push you into growing.
Yeah. And I think that yes, that's very valid. Yes, because I didn't want to be alone either. And then I realized my entire life I was always alone. And it seems like through your story, you were the same way of like, you were always defending for yourself. You were always protecting yourself. You were always, just kind of just trying to in survival mode of like, let me just survive here. Like that's what I got right now. And I think that now when I hear people say that they don't like to be alone, I'm like, oh my God, you have no idea what the other side feels like of that fear. Because I'm telling you what, you will put yourself alone a lot of times. Once you get to that, it's just fear, right? And I think that I don't think people realize that the other side of fear is that peace that you want to feel, or that calmness or that chaos. And I mean, most people that grew up in chaos, like boredom, like peace feels like bored, like I'm bored. And it's like that, not that you're always going to feel like that because we have to live a life, but it's like those moments. And it's like, really important for me especially. And I think that we talk a lot about this on the podcast too, is like all we have is moments. Like one moment we can be here and the next moment we could be gone. One moment you can have this and the next moment it could be gone. And it's like you have to really stay present. And I think that that's probably the hardest lesson. I think that's going to be a journey for all of us, every single one of us, like that. That's a continuous journey until we're not here anymore. Like we just go
Amen, sister.
back. Yeah. So I'm saying this a reminder of myself, but I'm like, I hear this a lot, like, people grabbing on to like and holding on and attaching to things and like just what you just said too. It's like we only have moments. It's like moments. There was actually a TikTok I seen that uh it was like this girl dancing and she goes, I have this moment and then the next time it was gone. That is the reality that we live in. And it's like if you realize that then maybe you'll change your moments, like each moment, different moments. And again, like you said, starting out small of doing little things in the beginning because you can't change your whole life in one day. You just can't. You just can't.
I do think it's so interesting too, the things that we grip on the most to, the things that we need the most and we can't do without, usually are the very things that we need to let go of.
Right. Yeah.
And yeah, just I have a couple of examples of that in my life, and one of them, like more recently, was a handful of years, about 3 years ago now, we sold our house. We had gotten this beautiful home in the middle of Tampa. Like it had a half acre, it had a pool, it had so much personality. It was this really cool house. I loved working on it and restoring it. And we lived in it for about 7, 8 years. It was so much of my identity was wrapped up in it. My
Mhm.
son was born in the house. We were married at the house in the backyard. Um, and my husband was just like, it's time to sell it. Like, we got to let it go. And I was like, absolutely not. Like, we're keeping it, you know. And I like begged and pleaded and redid mortgages and math and calculations and all this stuff. And like at the end of the day, it was like, okay, I guess we got to sell the house.
Yeah.
And as soon as we sold that house, like I things shifted. I opened my business. The first thing I did was go on a yoga retreat in Costa Rica, had the most profound experience there, and shifted my life completely shifted. And I started opening up my coaching and sound healing practice.
Yeah.
So I can't thank letting go of that house enough, even though I still miss it in my
Yeah.
heart,
Yeah.
like you have to let things go. It's a practice.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, that's definitely a good reminder too, because you can always, those memories stay in your heart. Like you get to keep them, and then it's like you can always go back to them to remind yourself of like the hard things that you have accomplished or you have been through, because you need them sometimes, like in a time of like, your ego is trying to, you're trying to expand. Your ego is like, no, 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 we're not doing that. You're not feeling that. We're not like, I feel like there's a lot of us right now that are in that space. And it's like, nope, I got to go through this small hole and you're not coming with me. I mean, not your ego is, but I'm just saying like, it just feels like that. I don't know. I don't know any other way to describe when you have to make those decisions that you're trying to fit yourself into this hole that like you can't carry all that stuff with you. Like that backpack on your back is too heavy. Like your back hurts for a reason, And I think that what you just said is like going to be so powerful for somebody that's listening. Like maybe that they're in the middle of their awakening, maybe they're just starting of like what the fuck is going on kind of thing, or maybe they're just like in between like deconstructing old beliefs and like trying to build new ones. So what would you what would you say to that person that is in that place?
Um, for me, like the thing that has been the most powerful is to look within yourself, to slow down, um, to go into that space and follow the breadcrumbs. The universe literally gives us what we allow ourselves to have. And I think for so many people aren't even noticing the signs. They're too busy looking this way and that way, and they're not paying attention to their intuition or to the thing that falls right in front of their face. And it's
Yeah.
like, just start becoming aware.
Yeah.
Like we say, awareness is key, right?
Yeah.
And so when you start becoming aware, or when you start becoming grateful, and when you start changing your perspective that life is good and things are positive, and just start looking on the bright side and start being present in the moment, and all those things like raise your vibration, bring you into a higher frequency, and allow more good into your life, into your sphere.
Yeah.
So I just think the more that you can allow that stuff into your life, the more you can sunny your outlook, the sunnier your outlook will get.
Yeah. That is wholeheartedly the truth. Brooke, thank you so much for this powerful conversation, and thank you especially for your depth and your honesty. Where can people find you?
Um, you can visit my website, which is at higherselfresonance.com. You can also find me on Facebook, Brooke Santamaria RN. Same with Instagram and LinkedIn as well.
Thank you so much again for being here with us. And if this episode resonated with you, if you're feeling like my nervous system is, kind of a strand of business, questioning maybe your beliefs, or maybe a sense of calling back in your sovereignty, or maybe even just learning about your sovereignty, make sure that you check out if you're listening to this, the links below in the show notes. Or if you're watching us over on YouTube, her links will be below. Make sure you go check them out. And if you're ready to regulate, reclaim, and rise, I'm going to invite you into the Enlightened Misfits Sisterhood. It's where emotionally aware, spiritual led people gather to build businesses and also lives from alignment instead of survival. You can also find those links below in the show notes. I hope you have an amazing rest of your week, and I will see you next week. If today's episode spoke to you and you're ready to rise with support, I'd love to invite you in to the Enlightened Misfits Sisterhood, a sacred community for spiritual entrepreneurs to heal, grow, and lead with purpose. You can join us by using the link below in the show notes or connecting with me over on Facebook or Instagram at
the Mermaid Life. If you loved today's episode, subscribe, share, and leave a review. This helps support us reach more women who are ready to rise. Remember, your journey isn't about fitting in. It's about embracing the truth of who you are. Until next time, stay inspired, stay aligned, and keep creating your extraordinary path. This is Lauren, and you've been listening to the Enlightened Misfits podcast.